For this lesson, we're going to talk about something really important that maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with, and that is the fifth taste. So we're all familiar with like the other four tastes that we learn in grade school, which is, was it salty, sour, sweet, and bitter? I think it's all of them. And there's a fifth one, and it's umami, right? And it's a Japanese word because it was discovered by a Japanese scientist. And umami is really, I know it's a flavor, but it's also like a feeling, and it's like a satisfaction. So umami actually as a flavor is caused by a chemical called glutamate. You might know it from like MSG, monosodium glutamate, which is why MSG actually makes food taste so good. But glutamate actually occurs naturally in all sorts of other things. There's a lot of foods that contain like the umami flavor. And umami flavoring is like, it's like that meatiness. It's like savoriness. It's like a little nutty, a little earthy. And you'll notice it when you have like a piece of cheese or a piece of like mushroom pizza. It's like really savory. Or like a roast that's been cooked really slowly for a long time. It's got that like perfect like savory. Like that's why you actually cook meats a long time, to break them down, also to like enhance that umami savory flavor. And like, it's one of those things where it's hard to nail a dish without umami. And some dishes don't have umami. It's fine. It's totally normal. But the ones that have umami, if it's not there, it'll be a marked absence. And people will be like, this just doesn't taste right. And it's because that is missing. So there's a lot of different foods that you can use to add an umami flavor to your dish. Maybe one of the most common is soy sauce. It's actually gluten-free soy sauce. So this is available to you, even if you're sans gluten in your life. Worcestershire sauce is a big one. This has got like anchovies and all sorts of other stuff in here. Sorry if you've never actually read like the label on Worcestershire sauce. There's all sorts of crazy stuff in here, but that's why it tastes so good. Like steak sauce. Similarly, there's like anchovies and brown sugar, and it's cooked down really heavily to really caramelize and get like those umami flavors. Fermented foods, sauerkraut is a big one, like sauerkraut next to your bratwurst. This is great because it's also acidic, but it also brings like an earthiness with it, like a really satisfying, like deep palate satisfying flavor, and that's the umami. Hard cheeses, this is pecorino, but Parmesan is also great because aged cheeses that are really hard, they're also fermented, like it's fermented dairy, right? And as the bacteria in them break down the dairy proteins, like you get more of that fermenty flavor. This actually is really familiar for vegans. This is called nutritional yeast. And basically what it is, it's like a yellow powder made from yeast. And it's got like a cheesy flavor. So you see it in a lot of vegan dishes where they want to like mimic the taste of cheese, but you know, they don't want to use cheese because they're vegan. Actually, this is really good sprinkled over popcorn. Who knew, right? This is the king of umami. These are anchovies, and you can get them in a little jar, you can get them fresh, you can get them in a little tin. You know, you've seen it on the old movies where they turn the little key. This is pretty much the best source of umami that you can find. And a lot of people get all like weirded out about anchovies, and I get it. Like I didn't like them until I was in my 20s. Now I can actually sit down and eat basically a whole jar of anchovies in one sitting by themselves. But when you cook with these, like such as putting them in like a sauce, like Worcestershire sauce, you don't have whole anchovies necessarily. You can add them to your food. They slowly cook and they just sort of disintegrate into the dish. And they don't taste fishy. They just bring like a little something that you won't get anywhere else. For example, you can put them in a Caesar salad dressing, in which case you throw it in the blender and then like the anchovies are gone, they're toast, but their flavor still lasts. That's how you get like a really good, like satisfying Caesar salad dressing. It's these guys. Got fish sauce. This is another one that's sort of making waves in the United States. It's very salty, a lot like soy sauce. So if you're using soy sauce or fish sauce, you want to be really careful about using other kinds of salt. Because if you salt your dish and then you add one of these guys, it can make it too salty. But fish sauce is made with small fish, similar to anchovies. So this is also another mega umami bomb. Like it's great. It's a little stinky. So a lot of Americans, when you pop open the jar, go, oh, holy shit, huh? But really, like this is the key to Thai food, and this is why everybody loves Thai food and Vietnamese food, because this is like magic sauce right here. In fact, in the Philippines and Thailand and Vietnam, like they just use this like ketchup. They just like, you know, sprinkle it on their food. It's delicious. And if you think it's kind of stinky when you open it, the good news is that as you cook it, like that smell goes away. It doesn't taste like fish. It actually has like a good like umami funk to it. But as you cook down whatever you've put it in, like the smell goes away. Even the funk goes away a little bit. And what you're left with is just a really beautiful umami flavor. And if you like the funk, actually, you're more than welcome to just add as much as you want until you get mega funk. Miso is, you can find this at most grocery stores these days. This is Japanese fermented soybean paste. Miso is very salty also, and this is more of a paste. Like you can see, it's just kind of like, doesn't really go anywhere. And what this does, adds like a really clean umami flavor. This makes it like a well-rounded, salty umami flavor. It's not as powerful as like, you know, the fish sauce or the anchovies, but this will still bring a lot of really good umami flavor. Like, you know, it's the reason that miso soup is so satisfying. You take a bite and you're like, oh, this is just good at my core. And then, you know, the goal in cooking or creating umami flavors is to create meatiness. So what's going to be meatier than meat, right? Cured meats are an amazing source of umami flavor. So if you're not into the anchovies, if they kind of creep you out, like go for cured meats. Cured meats, this is a Serrano ham, but you can use bacon, pancetta, salami. Salami is great. So if you have cured meats, the harder they are, it means they've been cured and fermented longer. The harder they are and the more fermented they are, the more you're gonna get that like mega umami flavor. And you're gonna even taste it like on really cured meats. You're gonna catch it here. Like, I don't know if you've ever had like a piece of salami that's just like, it nails it and you eat it and you can feel like all these salivary glands back here wake up. And there's a reason it's so satisfying and it's umami. So if you find that your dish is kind of missing something and it's not sweet, it's not sugar, or it's not salt, it's not like acid, it's not any of the other flavors, it might be something like this. And adding one of these ingredients can really help. Or the other thing that can help a whole lot is browning your food. And we're gonna talk about that in another lesson.